Curry comes free, gets the ball, puts up a three-pointer. Bang! Steph Curry!
The most destructive force in modern basketball isn't a thunderous dunk or a physical big man. It's a scientific principle that analytics departments call gravitational collapse. This isn't about physics, but about the psychological panic one player creates simply by crossing half court. Before he even touches the ball, Stephen Curry completely warps the geometry of the game, forcing 5 defenders to honor a threat 35 feet from the hoop. They are pulled out of position, stretched thin, and their entire defensive scheme crumbles under the weight of his presence. That is where the humiliation begins. We're going to dissect the 5 secrets behind how Stephen Curry systematically breaks down and humiliates his defenders. This isn't just about his legendary shooting. We'll explore the deceptive handle that baits the league's best, the relentless off-ball movement that drains their will, the unconventional finishing that makes elite shot blockers look foolish, and the subtle mental warfare that demoralizes entire teams. Stick around to discover the single most overlooked skill that is the true foundation of his power. Before we dive in, think about the last time you were truly outplayed in anything. A sport, a video game, even a board game. What was the one move or strategy your opponent used that made you feel completely helpless? Was it speed, power, or just pure cleverness? Hold that thought, because we're about to explore the basketball equivalent of that feeling, perfected into an art form. Have you ever wondered why teammates seem to get wide-open layups when Curry is on the floor? It stems from that concept of gravitational pull. Defenses are so terrified of his range that they often send 2, sometimes even 3 players to contest his shot, even when he's 30 feet away and doesn't have the ball. This defensive overreaction creates a 4-on-3 or 3-on-2 advantage for his teammates elsewhere on the court. He fundamentally breaks the math of basketball. The real-world impact is a defense in constant, panicked rotation, where players are forced to abandon their assignments, leaving gaping lanes to the basket. It's a state of strategic chaos. The actionable takeaway here is to understand your own gravity in any competitive field. Identify your greatest strength and notice how it forces opponents to react, creating opportunities for your team. Curry's gravity is the ultimate offensive weapon. The game is changed before he even shoots. Here's a surprising insight. A defender's nightmare isn't always guarding Curry with the ball, it's chasing him without it. He is arguably the most conditioned athlete in the league, and he uses it to torture his opponents. He will run a defender through a maze of screens, cuts, and curls for the full 24-second shot clock. Not necessarily to get the ball himself, but to physically and mentally exhaust the person guarding him. Imagine sprinting a 400-meter dash, only to have to immediately pivot and guard the world's quickest trigger. By the third quarter, that defender's legs are heavy, their reaction time is a split second slower, and their spirit is broken. That's when Curry strikes. The lesson is that relentless preparation creates opportunities where talent alone cannot. He weaponizes his stamina, so learn to outwork your competition, not just in the main event, but in the moments in between. The constant motion is what truly creates separation. Picture this scenario. Curry brings the ball up, makes a simple pass to the wing, and for a fraction of a second, the defender relaxes. That is the fatal mistake. The moment the ball leaves his hands, Curry explodes to a new open spot on the arc, receives a quick pass back, and releases the shot before the scrambling defender can even react. This is the Relocation 3, and it's a masterclass in punishing momentary lapses in focus. The humiliation for the defender is profound. They did their job, forced a pass, and yet they are still watching the ball go through the net. It teaches them that with Curry, the play is never over. He is always a threat. The takeaway is to never become complacent after a small victory. True masters of their craft understand that the moment you relax is the moment your opponent gains the ultimate advantage. Always stay engaged until the job is done. What if the most effective way to use a screen was to not use it at all? Most players use a pick to get an advantage. Curry uses it to read the defender's mind. He'll sprint towards a screen from a teammate, forcing his defender to make a choice, go over or under. But as soon as the defender commits, Curry instantly reverses direction, a move called rejecting the screen, and explodes into the space the defender just vacated. This leaves 2 opponents guarding an empty spot, while Curry is either draining a wide-open 3 or driving to the basket. It's a brilliant exploitation of defensive fundamentals. The defender is humiliated for following the textbook. The actionable advice is to study the conventional responses in your field, and then build a counter. Predictability is a weakness. By understanding how your opponent is supposed to react, you can manipulate them into making the exact wrong move. A high, seemingly loose dribble is typically seen as a weakness, a sign of poor ball control. For Stephen Curry, it's a baited trap. He intentionally keeps his dribble high and wide, inviting defenders to lunge for a steal. The moment they reach, he uses their own momentum against them, executing a lightning-quick crossover or behind-the-back move that leaves them swatting at thin air. He turns a supposed flaw into a devastating weapon. This simple tactic embarrasses some of the best defenders in the world, making their aggression a liability. He wants them to think they have a chance. The practical takeaway is to recognize your perceived weaknesses and consider how they can be turned into strengths. Sometimes, the most effective tool is the one your opponent underestimates. It's about controlling their perception and then punishing their assumptions. How do you freeze an elite athlete in their tracks? You tell them a convincing lie with your body language. Curry's hesitation dribble isn't just a pause, it's a full body feint, where his eyes, shoulders, and feet all sell the idea that he's about to pull up for a shot. The defender has no choice but to lunge forward to contest, but by then, it's too late. Curry is already accelerating past them towards the rim for an easy layup. It's a move that humiliates because it exploits the defender's diligence. They are punished for trying to make the right play. It's a chess move on a basketball court. The lesson here is the power of the pause. In any negotiation, presentation, or competition, a well-timed hesitation can disrupt your opponent's rhythm and force them to reveal their intentions first. Control the tempo, and you control the outcome. Imagine being trapped by two defenders near the sideline. For most players, this is a turnover waiting to happen. For Curry, it's an opportunity. He has mastered the functional behind-the-back dribble, not as a flashy move, but as an escape tool. While the defenders close in, he uses it to both shield the ball and change his angle, instantly turning a defensive victory into an offensive advantage. He doesn't just escape the trap, he often emerges from it with a clear path to the basket or an open teammate. The defenders are left looking at each other, wondering how their perfect trap failed. This shows that the most creative solutions often appear when you are under the most pressure. Don't just look for a way out, look for a way to turn the tables. The best defense is a surprising and sudden offense. Your greatest threat can become your turning point. Have you ever seen Curry's pregame warm-up where he dribbles two basketballs simultaneously with flawless rhythm? That isn't for show. It's the foundation of his ambidextrous mastery. This intense training makes handling one ball in a game feel effortless, allowing him to execute any move with either hand without thinking. Defenders can't force him to his weak hand because he doesn't have one. This level of control means he can react to any defensive stance instantly, and his unpredictability is a defender's worst nightmare. He has twice the options of a normal player. The dual fact here is that this training not only builds coordination, but also strengthens neural pathways, making his decision-making faster under pressure. Total game changer. The takeaway is to practice beyond the required standard. Master the fundamentals so deeply that they become an unconscious extension of your will, freeing your mind to focus on strategy. A great crossover isn't about speed, it's about deception. Curry's crossover is devastating because he sells the initial move with everything he has. His head, eyes, and shoulders all commit to one direction, forcing the defender to shift their weight and momentum to cut him off. The moment they take the bait, he snaps the ball back in the other direction, leaving them completely off balance and stumbling. It's the basketball equivalent of a matador waving the cape. The defender isn't just beaten, they are made to look foolish on an island. He makes them a highlight reel victim. The actionable advice is that in any persuasion, the setup is more important than the conclusion. Commit so convincingly to the feint that your opponent has no choice but to react. Then pivot to your true objective when they are most vulnerable. If you're finding this breakdown of Curry's game-changing techniques valuable, take a second to hit the subscribe button. We go deep on the strategies and secrets of the world's greatest performers every week. And you don't want to miss what's coming next. What happens when a 6 2" guard drives into the paint against a 7-foot shot blocker? Usually, a blocked shot. But Curry has neutralized this disadvantage with one of the most effective floaters in the game. He lofts the ball with a high arc, releasing it far earlier than a normal layup, causing the shot blocker's timing to be completely off. They jump to contest a shot that is already on its way down through the net. It's a move born of necessity that became a lethal weapon. The humiliation for the big man is palpable. Their primary defensive skill has been rendered useless by pure finesse. The lesson is to innovate around your limitations. Instead of trying to overcome a disadvantage with brute force, develop a creative skill that makes it irrelevant. Find the solution that your opponent isn't expecting. Driving to the basket against a trailing defender is a race to the rim. But what if you could use the rim itself as a shield? Curry has perfected the reverse layup, where he drives past the basket and lays the ball in from the opposite side. The simple maneuver places the backboard and rim between the ball and the pursuing defender, making a clean block almost impossible. It's a brilliant use of angles and positioning to nullify a defender's athletic advantage. The defender might be taller, faster, and stronger, but they can't get to the ball. They are perfectly positioned, yet completely ineffective. The takeaway is to always consider the environment in your strategy. Use the obstacles and structures around you to your advantage, creating barriers for your opponents while clearing a path for yourself. Here's a detail that separates the goods from the truly elite. In basketball, you're taught from a young age to finish a right-handed layup by jumping off your left foot, and vice versa. Curry intentionally breaks this rule. He has mastered the wrong foot finish, taking off and finishing with the same hand and foot. This completely disrupts the rhythm and timing of shot blockers, who are conditioned to expect the standard sequence. The split second of hesitation it creates is all the window he needs. It's a subtle but profound deception. This move is a game within the game. The insight here is that sometimes the most effective technique is the one that is technically incorrect. Mastering the rules is important, but knowing when and how to break them can give you an unpredictable edge that no one can prepare for. At his size, Curry can't overpower defenders, so instead, he absorbs and redirects their energy. As he drives to the lane, he often lets the defender make contact and then uses their forward momentum to spin or pivot away from them, creating just enough space to get his shot off. He doesn't fight their force, he uses it. The defender, trying to be physical and aggressive, ends up pushing him exactly where he wants to go, often resulting in an and-one play. This is the epitome of basketball judo. The actionable lesson is to stop resisting every force you encounter. Sometimes, the path of least resistance involves yielding slightly and redirecting your opponent's energy to propel you toward your own goal. Let their aggression become your fuel. Curry's humiliation of a defender isn't always about scoring. His court vision is so advanced that he uses his eyes as a weapon. He will stare down one teammate in the corner, drawing the defender's attention and convincing them a pass is going there, only to whip a no-look pass to a cutter going to the basket for an easy dunk. He doesn't just fool his primary defender, he manipulates the entire defense. The player who gets tricked by the no-look is left staring into an empty corner, completely exposed. He plays the game on a different mental level. The takeaway is to understand that where you direct your focus is a powerful signal. You can mislead competitors by drawing their attention to one area while you make your real move in another. It's a powerful tool of misdirection. The average NBA three-pointer is released in about 0.6 seconds. Stephen Curry's is closer to 0.4 seconds. That 0.2 of a second difference is an eternity in basketball, and it inflicts immense psychological damage on a defender. It means there is no room for error. A defender cannot be a single step too slow or have their hands down for a millisecond. This creates a constant state of high alert anxiety, which is mentally draining over the course of a 48-minute game. It forces mistakes and leads to fouls. The defender knows that perfect defense might not be enough. The insight is that speed, in any process, can be a psychological weapon. By drastically reducing the time your opponent has to react, you force them out of their comfort zone and into a state where they are far more likely to make critical errors. Why does Curry's shimmy after a big shot infuriate opponents so much? Because it's a demonstration of pure, unadulterated joy in the middle of intense competition. While the defender is grinding, fighting, and mentally exhausted, Curry is having fun. This contrast is deeply demoralizing. The shoulder shimmies, the mouth guard chewing, the chest taps, they aren't just celebrations, they are psychological daggers that communicate effortless superiority. He isn't just beating you, he's enjoying it. The lesson is that your demeanor under pressure sends a powerful message. Maintaining composure and even positivity in the face of adversity can be incredibly unsettling for an opponent who expects you to be stressed. Your attitude can be your sharpest weapon. Every great shooter gets cold. What makes Curry different is his complete lack of memory. He can miss 5 shots in a row, and he will take the 6th with the exact same form, confidence, and belief that it's going in. For a defender, this is terrifying. Just when they think they finally have him figured out or that he's lost his rhythm, he'll pull up from 30 feet and drain a 3, erasing all their hard work. He never gets discouraged. This resilience breaks a defender's hope. The actionable takeaway is to cultivate a short memory for failure. Don't let past mistakes influence your next decision. Trust your process and your preparation, and approach every new opportunity with a clean slate, unburdened by previous outcomes. The final secret to how Curry humiliates defenders is perhaps the most straightforward. He outlasts them. In the fourth quarter of a tight game, when other players are fatigued, their movements become sluggish and their decisions slow. This is when Curry seems to hit another gear. He is still running full speed off screens, his shot mechanics are still perfect, and his mind is still sharp. The ultimate humiliation is being physically and mentally broken. While your opponent looks like they could play another full game, it's a victory of discipline and preparation. The final lesson is that your investment in preparation pays its greatest dividends when everyone else is fading. The will to prepare must be greater than the will to win. True dominance is revealed not at the start, but at the finish. So, how does Stephen Curry humiliate defenders? It's a total system. It's the gravitational force that warps defenses before the play even starts. It's the deceptive handle and unconventional finishing that punishes every assumption a defender makes. And it's the relentless conditioning and mental warfare that breaks their will over 48 minutes. He attacks them on every level, physically, technically, and psychologically. It's not one move. It's a constant, overwhelming pressure that forces even the best in the world into submission. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The information presented is not professional advice. Always consult a qualified expert as needed.